right, so there's something going on right now at the Japanese American National Museum. There's a new exhibit that's open.
The one right
Tell
there?
us about it.
In Little Tokyo?
I didn't know.
It's going on till September, and it's something super, super important.
Is it the dirty underwear exhibit?
He's gonna like this one.
You were gonna feel so weird once the rest of this is finished.
Oh no! I got a joke about my peoples, dude.
I'm sitting here by association.
So that's good. 1942, what happened in America, you know?
In America?
It's like a Pearl Harbor.
Well, yeah, a year ago.
His
But
uncle was there.
A year ago, yeah. In 19...
Not in the plane though.
Yeah.
1942 is where they took 120,000 Japanese
camp.
American citizens, put them in internment
Farewell to
camps.
Manzanar.
Took them from their homes, yep. They spread them out across the country to different camps.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 1988
Where your mama tried to escape?
Yeah, America offered $20,000 in reparations to each.
They got money though.
Yeah, to each member who survived the camps. Yeah. But
40 years later?
yeah, but the catch is that there never was an official list of who was even in the camps.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was their way of like, oh, well, here's money, but I mean, we don't know who to give it to. So it was hard to get what was due to you because
That's crazy.
they never kept that record. So it's not until now that there's a guy named Duncan Williams, and he's director of USC's Shinso Ito Center for Japanese Culture. He spent 3 years with a dozen researchers and 100 volunteers to make the final official actual list
Wow.
of every single person that was in an internment camp. Wow.
How come white guys are so into our shit?
He's Japanese.
Oh, is this Japanese?
he sounded white.
I thought he was white.
Started Asian American shit.
He's got a white last name.
Yeah, but yeah, Japanese.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Women, by the way. Does he have like a white dad?
I think he's like half. Yeah, he's half Japanese.
Okay, fine.
His name's Duncan Ryukin.
All right.
Oh,
Then.
that's a made up name, dude. That's not real, dude.
All right, then. That's fine. Okay, fine.
He's like, how come white people?
Yo, all I'm saying is white people are the preservers of cultures all over the world, dude. They be studying that shit so hardcore.
It's the guilt.
They be
They're just into shit. They're like the most hardcore. Like they're more hardcore. Yeah, they're more Japanese than Japanese people and shit. You go to Japan and then you'll hear like the best koto players, like a fucking like redheaded girl or some shit. I don't know. Cause she been studying that shit, you know?
Yeah, she was probably more obsessed with it.
Everyone gets bored of their own shit. Cause Japanese people, they think like, man, Japanese shit is lame.
Oh,
bro.
you know what it is though too?
They're like,
Japanese
it's so
people
lame.
think Japanese
Hell
shit is
yeah,
lame?
dude.
When white people are studying Asian shit, they probably have a chip on their shoulder. So they like, I gotta know this better than like the actual people. So I gotta go harder.
Okay, that's true.
I just think the grass is greener, right? Like you got a white kid here that's like, I don't want to do no cowboy stuff. You know, I want to do some samurai stuff. And then they study out there. And then some kid over there is like, that shit's lame, bro. I'm gonna learn hip hop, you know? And then they come to America and then goes, B-boy Takashi.
There is a B-boy Takashi. That was funny.
That's tight.
So that book, they made it into a big book. It's 1,000 pages long and it weighs 25 pounds. You can go to the museum now until September and you can see the actual book. And I guess like people who are related to the families that are named in the book they can like stamp the name to like show that like a certification thing. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, like their family crest.
Yeah.
My friend's grandpa, he was a kid during the time he grew up. He has nothing but positive shit to say.
About the internment camp?
Yeah. Well, because he was a child.
Wait.
So so for him, it was like, every day I get to play with my friends. We're together, we live together, we get to eat together. And then he goes, but after, like we all live in different houses. I don't see them every day. But he goes like, when you're a kid, your experience, you're not worried about, what am I gonna do about work? You don't think about that shit. You're just like, I'm with all my friends and we're camping every day.
But that's cool because that's credit to the families that were in there for allowing their children to roam like that. Yeah. They're not passing on the stress. Like they're trying to give them as good of a life as they can.
Yeah. So people that had family or just relatives or just friends that let Japanese folks stay, you didn't have to go to camp. If you were far enough from the West Coast, there was some kind of rule. You had to be away from like these zones, right? And then so my aunt, she went to the Midwest where she had some relatives or something like that. She just waited out the war with her family there. But in the Midwest, whether it was Missouri or Kansas or some shit like that, they didn't leave the house. They just stayed on the farm property because they said, you don't fucking leave. Because once, you walk the streets, they're like, what's this fucking Jap doing over here, Right. Yeah.
Right.
This fucking Jap.
So yeah, to anybody who is unfamiliar, so 1941 when Pearl Harbor happened, America declared all Japanese enemy. Even if you were a Japanese American fighting in the war against Japan, you got pulled out and you were taken and put in a camp. And so when they took people and put them in camps, what happened to their homes? They just lost them?
So they had to sell shit. They had a very short period of time to just sell. Or what some people did is they had white friends that were like honorable, and then they just put them under their name, or they took care of the property. So then they're like, I'll give it back to you when you move back, and they got their farm back.
Yeah.
So some people were just like, I gotta sell everything in the store. So people were coming in and they're getting dirt cheap prices. One of the conspiracies is there were a lot of, so you know how like Vietnamese people do the nail stuff, right? And like Cambodians do the donuts. Japanese got into the farms. And then to do the farms, they bought a lot of water rights. So one of the conspiracies about taking Japanese out of that is they own too many of the aqueducts up and down California.
That's crazy.
So that, like, one of the richest people in California, like next to when Elon was here, is a family that owns a lot of the water rights. So they're saying like our as in Japanese community, they were robbed of their wealth and a lot of the future dollars because they own so much of the water in California.
Damn.
Damn, we only came over and fucking did nails?
Shit.
Sorry, dude.
Sorry.
At least you got 10 of them.
I mean, it's better than picking grapes.
You can do 10 of them at a time.
We had the grape game on lock, you know what I mean? Grape game.
But that makes a lot of sense because, I mean, throughout history, there's so many references to controlling water and that being like the main...
That's one of the conspiracies of like why they did the camps, because it was like not just a racist or thing, but it was like also like, let's take that shit out because we need to control the water. Yeah, stuff like that, but I don't know,
But, I mean, imagine how that looks to get your water control taken away and then in the 80s, oh, here's 20K.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there were people who owned like prime real estate all over Southern California.
Yeah.
Japanese families that just had to like figure out a situation. And so imagine like you own like 4 homes or whatever, and all of a sudden they're like, you got to get rid of that shit. Because if you can't pay the thing and handle all your stuff, you can't pay by your phone back then, So it's just like, boom, it's all gone.
You just lose it.
Yeah. I heard a lot of interesting shit from like what they discussed about in the camps and like what, like, because I was always asking like how come there's hella Japanese people in America that can't speak any Japanese? Because I grew up in the SGV. All my Vietnamese, Chinese friends, like they were deep like connected to their culture.
Yeah.
Right? So like, and all of my Japanese friends in the SGV, they're like white.
Well, even in like Hacienda Japanese church, the service is in English, right?
Yeah, there's some Japanese, but my parents, they grew up there. So I'm second generation, or what's called a Nisei, right? And all of my friends' grandparents are in the SGV, their grandparents barely spoke Japanese. Like they're educated in the States. Right. They sound like old school, white folks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I asked them why. And they said, well, during the camp, there was like a committee and everyone got together and they said, why did they stick us in here? And they're like, I think they don't think we're American enough because they didn't stick the Italians, they didn't stick the Germans, they only stuck us in here. So we're seen as a foreign threat. That's why they think we're spies. That's why they think we can't be trusted. And then there's guys that fought for the U.S. There's Japanese dudes that fought for the U.S. in World War I, and they all wore their uniforms. Like their decorations and medals.
The camps to show. Like,
no, when they were getting picked up by the bus, they stood there, like, yeah, I'm fucking American. But then they took them, threw them in the bus. They sent them all over there, and then so at least from like my aunt and what she's told me, their generation had this agreement of like, what we need to do is just speak English. Stop speaking Japanese.
Completely assimilate.
Yeah, you have to. You have to send your children to become, to join the military. You have to send your children to become high members of society, like go into politics, all this stuff, and go so deep into America that they could never.
That this will never happen.
They could never happen again.
Damn.
And that's why you see so many Japanese politicians, and like the first Asian American politicians are like Japanese American.
Judges.
Yeah. There was a general, a U.S. general that was super high ranking because like it was just a reaction to being rounded up and like kind of treated not American. So they're like, all right, how do we become more? Yeah.
So crazy.
When I was growing up, I was like, how come all my Chinese friends are like, they got that pride or like that? They do the Chinese things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all we do is like festivals. But nobody speaks it, no one knows it. Like I was like so confused. But that was the reason why. I'm like, damn.
That's pretty crazy to hear. So yeah, the heavy thing about all the people that are going to see this book is there's still people that survived the internment camps that can look at in that book today, and they're just like they collapse when they see it because it's like this is the first time that there's proof.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's just like you can say it, and then they're like, well, where's the records? Yeah. And there's never been any. Yeah. And so to see it for the first time, to look at your own name, like, and you've lived that, it's the very first time. So everybody's going there, like it's like a big thing to go see this. So if you guys want to check it out, Japanese American National Museum. It's over in Little Tokyo and by downtown LA until September.
And across the street, there's the Go for Broke Memorial. You guys could check it out. It's the 442nd group across the street from the National Museum. Yeah, it's pretty. Their stories are pretty nuts too.
Next to Daikoku, yeah.
I really thought he was gonna say something dumb like across the street there's boba time. They got really good matcha.